Welcome to another episode of Live Deal Reviews. I'm going to be going through a property here in Waterfall, which was one of my followers on YouTube asked me to do a case study on.
I educate people to reach financial freedom through property through cash flow positive investments, specializing in the low income multi-let residential market.
Although Lachey sent me this deal over 2 weeks ago, I've only decided to record it today because I wanted to give her enough time to secure the offer. Because once this video goes live and there's lots of people that are seeing it, there's a chance that it could be taken. If you do want me to analyze a live deal for you in future, put something in the comments below or send something onto my community page. This is some of the background information that Lachey provided me with. So firstly, the property was listed at 3.2 million. They offered 2.5, to which the seller responded and accepted 2.6 million. So there's a decent discount there. They're going to put 100,000 Rand deposit down. The rest will be financed by the bank. It currently consists of a 2.5 bedroom unit, a large 3-bedroom unit with a garden and pool, and another big 1-bedroom unit. So I'll assume how many students they can put in there and play with some different scenarios as to how many students they'd need in there for it to be a good deal. But, if you've got 6 to 7 bedrooms, it's likely that you can get, at least 7 students in, but if not 14 students, 2 per bed. That obviously depends on the size of the property. I haven't seen the property and I have no pictures, so it's hard for me to know exactly how many people we can fit in there. That's going to be up to your due diligence. And then they're budgeting roughly 80,000 Rand on renovations. I'm not sure if that's including furniture. I'm just going to assume that it is already furnished, because if you're looking at student accommodation, obviously you need to provide beds, mattresses, duvets, chairs, tables, built-in cupboards, fridges, those kind of things is an expectation that students do have. So as you can see, the property is no longer available on Property 24. Obviously, Lachey and her partner have committed on the deal, which I think is awesome. And I wanted to give you enough time to make sure that there was no threat of someone else coming in. Unfortunately, there's no pictures and I can't get into the advertisement because the property has been sold. But from what I can see here, 7.5 bed, 4.5 bath, and then 11 parking units. It sounds perfect for student accommodation. As long as the proximity is good, I can't speak to that. I don't know KZ, I don't know KZN. I don't know this area well, but I assume, you've done your due diligence and that this is within proximity. But it's definitely the right type of size. And the fact that you've got parking is going to be very attractive for students with cars. So I've opened up the app. I'm going to run my analysis through this. So you said originally the asking price was 3.2 million. You got it at 2.6 million. So you got a discount of 19% on the original asking price. I don't know if this is a good number yet. I would need to see a Lightstone report or at least a valuation, a municipal valuation. So once you get a utility bill, on the top of the utility bill, there should be some sort of valuation that you can get that the municipality has valued this property at whatever. Or Lightstone will tell you what the valuation is. Their asking price of 3.2 million could be unrealistic. So, this discount of 18%, it's hard for me to say that that's an accurate number. So if you can give me what the valuation of the property is, you put that in your asking price, then your offer price of 2.6, you'll see what your accurate discount to market value is. Now, in terms of the rental, this is going to be tricky, right? Because, students, you've got different types of students. You've got your NSFAS students. Those are students that use the NSFAS funding to be able to pay for books and accommodation and travel and all of that stuff. So it's your lower LSM student. And on average, NSFAS is paying between 3,200 and 3,500 per person. So if we say an average of, let's say, 3,300, and you're going to put 14 students in there, 2 per bedroom, you're looking at a rental income of 46,000. You times that by 12 divided by your your purchase price of 2.6 million. That's giving you a gross yield of 21%. That's not bad. For student accommodation, that would probably be the minimum that I would look for. So I think that, that's already a positive. If you're more going to go for private students, then you could probably up your amount a little bit. And because you've got 11 parking spots, you could probably rent out the parking as well. Because you've only got 11 parking spots and potentially enough space for 14 students, there's going to be 3 students without parking availability. So you charge for parking. Now, if you're going for your NSFAS students, if you're going for your lower LSM, none of them really have cars. So, if you're going for NSFAS, then that opportunity to get extra income from the parking spaces is wasted. So let's say that you can maybe get, 4,200 per student. That's a private student, not a NSFAS student. You again times that by the 14 students that you can fit into the property, times that by 12 divided by your 2.6. Now we start looking at a juicy deal, 27% gross yield, which is fantastic. So this is your due diligence that you have to do. You have to figure out if it is NSFAS applicable. You have to be accredited by NSFAS. So you have to meet certain requirements for them. You have to make sure that you can put 14 students in there. If you can only put in 12 or 10, obviously you have to change your numbers. If you're going private, you have to, speak to a rental agent or a student house manager or caretaker that manages a student house and find out what private students are charging and paying for. So I'm going to use a average between the NSFAS students and what I think a private student would pay. Divide that by 2. So I'm going to say the average rent per student, assuming we can put 14 students in here, means that you'll make a rent of 52,000. Okay. So this video is less to show you the exact numbers and more to guide you through the thinking so that you can do your own due diligence and then figure out the numbers for yourself. So please don't take the numbers I'm about to show you as the truth and this is how the deal is going to pan out. I know very little about this deal, this area, but I can teach you the concept and way to think about it. So 52,500. So I'd speak to an agent. I'd go and look at Lightstone, Gumtree, private property, and see what other people are charging for. I'd pull a TPN report, maybe a Lightstone report. So I'd use different channels and sources to be able to verify this number. It's one of the most important numbers to get right. Oh, by the way, I've got a student house in Cape Town with 14 students, and we make about 49 to 50,000 rand per month in rental. So this number, if you're getting 14 students, it's not outrageous. That's definitely within the ballpark of what we're doing. And we have half of our students as NSFAS students and the other half as private students. So this is definitely, I think, a realistic number. We go to the buying costs. So you mentioned that the purchase price is 2.6 million. You're going to put a 100,000 deposit down. So you're getting a 2.5 million rand loan. It's a freehold, not registered for VAT, I assume. I hope you're buying this in a company with your partner and not in your personal name. Just from a tax perspective, as you earn more in your personal name and you add this income generating property into your personal name, it's just going to push you up into the higher income tax brackets. And it's just not going to be attractive. So I hope that you have done this through a company. So your bond registration costs will be 52,000. I assume you've already received a quote from the bank, so you'll have accurate numbers to work on. And then your transfer costs, this is what the lawyer essentially charges, and then your tax of 100,000. So we're looking at, just under 200,000 for transfer costs. So I'll put your 150 and 50,000. I always just put a bit of a buffer in because the Uber cost calculator is not always 100% accurate. Furnishing costs. So this is where I would put my furnishing costs here under buying costs. If you were to furnish, if it's already furnished, that's great. If it's not furnished, I think you're going to struggle to find students, especially NSFAS. You won't have any NSFAS students because they don't come with their own beds and stuff like that. So I do hope that you've got a budget for furnishing if that is applicable. In terms of your renovations, I'm just going to say your general touch-ups based on your feedback was 80,000 Rand. I hope you've had a building inspector go in and have a look. Finance costs. Okay, so you're saying you're going to do about a 96% loan to value. Okay. Interest rate as of today, shooting this video, I think it's 9% is prime. Depending on your credit score and your affordability, it's possible that you and your partner got prime minus whatever, prime minus 1. I would use a more conservative number. I'm going to use 9.5. Because there is going to be a spike in the interest rates still this year. I think another 0.25 to 0.5 is realistic. Over 20 years, giving you a bond repayment of 23,000. Now you've got the numbers with you, Lachey. If you've received a quote from the bank, you'll see what your exact numbers are, so you can be more accurate. Again, I'm just trying to show you the process and the flow. Levies will be 0 because it's a freehold, so there's no levies applicable. Your rates and taxes. It should say it on the ad here. Unfortunately, I can't get into it anymore. So I'm just going to assume, let's go with 1,200. Building insurance. Again, that's, you'll just have to reach out to a broker and get a quote from them, but that's not going to break the bank. Maybe 850. Void costs. Okay, so this is really important. Remember, students don't rent for 12 months of the year, they rent for 10 months of the year. So what we've done with our student house in Cape Town is we obviously rent to students for those 10 months. And then the remaining 2 months that are vacant, we do almost like an Airbnb model, but it's more like a backpackers. So we are on Gumtree, we're on Airbnb, we're on various backpacking sites. And students or kids from Europe, Asia, America, wherever it is that want to come and spend a few days in Cape Town, we rent out our rooms that are catered for student accommodation to these backpackers, because the thing is we can't really change the structure of the property to cater for your high-end Airbnb clientele, nice bedding and that kind of stuff. We've just got bunk beds and we've got really simple appliances. But for a backpacker, for a kid in Europe who wants to come and do 2 weeks backpacking here in Cape Town, it's more than enough. So you can find ways to recover that income that you're losing because the tenants aren't renting during those 2 months. If you can't, I would use a 16% void. That's equivalent to 2 months. And then this is money that I can set aside so that the months December and January, when the tenants aren't renting, I have enough money to cover my bills and my bond and all of that. Management fee, I assume you guys are going to manage it yourself because you are living in the area. You could put a 10% fee in. I think there's still enough cash flow to warrant that, but I'm going to leave it at 0% for now. And then maintenance. Sure. The thing about student accommodation is that it takes a bit more time and a lot more maintenance to manage than normal residential stuff. And that's probably why, I haven't really explored the student market as much as I've done the residential, because, I really wanted to do the passive thing. I didn't want too much time. And the thing with students is you need to invest a lot of time and a lot of maintenance. So if you think about this house, this 7.5 bedroom house, or three units on the property, that would normally be used by 3 families potentially, so you'd only have 3 people going in and out of the door, 3 people using the toilet facilities, 3 people using the kitchen and the cupboards and all of that stuff. Now, when you put 14 students in there, you're multiplying the use of the property, and your general wear and tear is going to be substantially higher than if you had a limited number of people in there, right? So your maintenance is going to be high. Things like changing your doors and your locks is going to be huge. Because I've got 14 students in our house, we're constantly locking, unlocking the doors. So that, we're changing door handles every 4 to 5 months. You obviously want to put in also fire safety. You want to put in your hose pipes, your extinguishers, your fire blankets. You need to be compliant. Yeah, and then every year you're pretty much going to have to do probably a repaint, retile, fix things that have been broken, because students don't see this as a home. They see it as a party zone, and they don't always respect it. So I'd probably put a conservative 15% in. It's a substantial. That's 8,000 Rand of your cash flow. It's basically your vacancy cost. The final thing to look at is water and electricity. Now, if you go for the NSFAS students, it's included in the 3,000, 3,500. Water and electricity is all included. If you go private, you could potentially on-charge it to your tenants. You could put in a prepaid meter, water or electricity, and then make it a upfront charge to your tenants. So you got to figure that out, right? Is your rent of 52,500, this rental figure, is that inclusive of electricity, Netflix, all of these other additionals, or is that something you charge above and beyond your rental income? If you are going to pay for the electricity yourself and your water yourself, I would then add it here in the other tab. I would probably go at like 250 per student. So if I were to add that 250 times 14, yeah, about 3,500 Rand is going to be sufficient for you to probably cover your utilities. And then we go to the summary tab. Let's have a look here. Now, my return here says 22%, which sounds super attractive, and I think this deal is good. But I've used a lot of assumptions. I haven't gone into the meat and the detail of this deal. I have got no due diligence or no proof of income, proof of expense. So I definitely wouldn't rely on this as a definite deal. You've got to do your own due diligence, and you just got to follow the steps that I've done here, but with the actual numbers. But what I'm seeing here is, you're buying at a decent price, 2.6 million for 52,000 Rand in rental. So your gross yield is good. Your return on investment is good, even with a high maintenance cost and a high vacancy cost. And this deal makes a lot of sense. If I go back to cash flow and I put a 10% management fee, which would be the average fee that a person would charge or managing agent would charge, then your return starts to suffer. Yeah. So your deal with my numbers, can't accept a 10% management fee. So I would take this away. What we've done with our student house is at the back of the house, we've got a Wendy house, and that's where our caretaker stays. And instead of paying him a fee, he just stays for free. So you could look at something like that. You've got that additional bedroom or one unit that's on the property that could be used as the caretaker's unit. Obviously, if they're not paying rent, they're a cost item, and you need to add that to your numbers. I think all in all, this looks like a really promising deal. As long as you've followed the process that I've shown you now, and you've run your numbers using actuals, I think you should definitely get excited, have a bottle of champagne, and enjoy the journey of achieving financial freedom through property.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Property investing can be scary, and sometimes it's nice to have an experienced, seasoned investor look over your deals. That's why I've created my property coaching program, where I sit with you on a one-to-one basis and help you through the process of buying your first investment property. If this sounds interesting, book a free 15-minute call with me and we'll see if it's the right fit.